Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to become a DevOps engineer in 2024. I'm from a networking and cloud background, and this year I have planned to learn DevOps. I just wanted to create this video so that it can also help you guys if you want to become a DevOps engineer from scratch, or if you already have experience in Linux or networking and you want to switch your career to the DevOps for better pay or future growth. So the first thing is the Linux and networking. So that remains the first thing to learn if you are just beginning from the scratch, right? Because this Linux or Windows, it could be any operating system. This is the foundation. So to become DevOps engineer, you have to know the basics of networking. You have to know the protocols, technologies, and you also have to know a lot about operating systems like basic commands or a bit more than that, like file management or networking. And if you have experience with this, you can maybe go to the second step. For me, I am already well-rounded in networking and Linux. So for me, it's very easy. But if you're just beginner, if you're just starting out, this is the first thing to learn. Okay. All right. So the second thing, right? After learning networking or Linux, you can maybe start to play around with cloud. Cloud is again, you can choose AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud. Once you have learned the basics of networking and Linux, you can maybe start with basic projects around AWS or Azure. They give you a free tier, both of them. So you can just start out by looking into the services, and if you can get a certification, preferably you can go for Azure Administrator or AWS Solution Architect Associate. Right. So these are the basic certification to start and to learn about cloud. Again, the best thing is to learn practically. So deploy small projects, maybe a website behind a load balancer with some auto scaling groups. After networking and Linux, this is the second thing which you will learn, which is obviously the cloud. And it plays a major role in the field of DevOps because DevOps kind of originates from cloud, because in cloud we handle large infrastructures, and DevOps is again a tool to simplify and automate a very big infrastructure. So this will be your second step. Now let's go to the third step. So after getting done with Linux, networking, and cloud, you can maybe start looking toward some additional technologies, right? So throughout this path, you might have learned JSON and YAML. Those are also very important. Everybody uses that in the world of DevOps, which I have personally observed. To deploy any configuration or to create configurations and store them in a file, will preferably use JSON or YAML. It depends on the configuration tool. And DevOps contains a lot of tools, so you need to learn a lot of things in DevOps, right? It's development plus operations, so you need to learn a bit of both. Now after learning cloud, I would recommend you to start using a bit of Python or Bash scripting, because a little bit of coding will help you in a long way in your DevOps journey. Any programming language will come handy, but preferably Python, Go, or you can also look at Ruby, but I've seen Python and Go mostly in the industry used by major tools. And just learn the scripting, just learn the basics of the language. You don't need to learn any data structure, algorithms, and all of that, but you just need to learn and understand a given code, right? So just need that level of knowledge to understand the code and maybe try to do some changes on that code. After learning code and cloud and networking and Linux, now you can create some project and use a version control system like GitHub. GitHub is again very important skill in the world of DevOps. So you just need to know how to create a repository, how to pull some data out of repository, how to merge, how to push, how to add. So all these basic GitHub command you can learn during this part, but yeah, you need a little bit of version control knowledge. Now, after learning all this, specifically for DevOps, there are two tools I would recommend. One is Terraform and second one is Ansible. So you can learn any of these tools Now there is a huge list of tools, like you can learn Puppet, Chef, all that. But I would prefer, if you're coming from a networking operating system background, you're not coming from a development background, the most easiest tool to learn would be Terraform or Ansible, because those are nothing but just a JSON, or there are some specific complex scenarios, but to begin with, to deploy your basic projects, to build up your resume, to get some certifications, I would recommend either doing Terraform or doing Ansible. After learning Terraform, I would recommend to make a project, because for example, you have learned Azure and then you have learned Terraform. Now you can build some project which includes both of them, and you can deploy that code into, you can keep that code into a repository on GitHub. This is currently what I am doing. I'm currently learning Terraform, so I will give a link in the description. I'm constantly updating that project right now. I have done step 1 and step 2, so I'm constantly updating that project. So you can take a look and just see what the progress looks like. Even though you don't do any certification, if you have some good projects, then you can definitely do those. I'll give another link on the description, which is roadmap.sh. So you can see on the screen right now, there are a lot of paths they have given in the field of DevOps, right? So you can just gradually start with the networking Linux, and then up to the cloud, GitHub, Terraform, Ansible, and then you would have a fundamental understanding of how everything works. Now, a very important part of your DevOps journey would be learning Docker and Kubernetes. So container play a huge role in the field of DevOps. Most of the company deploy containers to quickly scale up, scale down, and manage their services. Now those containers could be deployed over AWS, or they could be deployed on on-prem systems, but you need to learn containers after all this. So Docker, you can start with Docker. So Docker is basically a simple container. If you have done Linux, then it will be easier to learn Docker. It's nothing but just a containerized version of an operating system. Now to manage multiple containers, then you can learn Kubernetes, right? So I will create next video. If you want me to create a next video about top 5 certifications in the field of DevOps, I will cover that in the next video. Just comment if you want that kind of information. But I would recommend to just play around with your AWS account, create again some projects, and you can deploy Kubernetes clusters with the help of Terraform as well. So you can use Terraform to kind of deploy everything together, whatever you have learned, and then you can apply to jobs. If you go through any DevOps role right now, I'm guaranteeing you on the 90% of the roles you will find something like this. You need to have some AWS or Azure knowledge. Then you need to have basics of networking Linux knowledge or Windows. Then you have to have some of the container knowledge. It could be Kubernetes preferably. Then JSON, YAML, those will be there. Again, if you have some projects, that will be an add-on to your resume. One last thing, now this is a bit of advanced topic after completing everything, but you can include some monitoring tools for your environment, because a big part of DevOps is monitoring environments. So there are tools like Prometheus, Grafana, which are open source. Then in Amazon, you have Amazon CloudWatch. So you can kind of deploy everything and create metrics, alerts, graphs, or collect log data from different containers. So that is kind of advanced topic of DevOps. But I think if you finish just like first 5, which I've told you, I think you'll easily get a job if you know all those topics in and out, and if you have some projects and if you worked out. So I'm currently in the process. I'm learning Terraform right now. I'm going for Terraform Associate certification, and then I'm planning to learn Kubernetes, because I already know my day-to-day work involves a bit of networking, Linux, and cloud. So those things are already covered for me. So I'm just want to transition to another field. So I'm just starting with Terraform and then slowly learn Kubernetes as well. So If you want to see that journey, I will surely give you updates once in a month about that. So please subscribe to the channel or follow me on Instagram to get any latest info. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye.